Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Ealing Road podcast. We are recording today's episode online as we're a little short on personnel. Clayton, bless him, is on holiday in South Africa. So shout out to Clayton if you're listening, mate. Happy birthday as well. So today I'm joined by Niall, who's making his Ealing Road debut. Niall, how are you, mate?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Let's just get straight into this. We're going to go quickly through the Everton game before talking about Southampton, and then we'll go on to Leicester at home this weekend before getting your funniest Brentford story. And he's already told me a couple that he's thinking about telling, and they're both quite good. So we'll get to that at the end, but first let's go through the game. So Everton, firstly, Niall, what did you make of the day?
Well, the actual day itself was very interesting. The game, we conceded in like the first, 20, 30 seconds. And I think that's something you don't do against a Sean Dyche team because they just sit back and make it difficult. Interestingly, I think where we've struggled this season is actually breaking teams down. So I think against Everton, we had 70% of the ball. That's probably most we've had all season in a game. And yeah, I think we did create a couple of chances, but I think like Tarkowski was so good for them that day. I think, and they just made it really difficult for us. I didn't see us getting a goal. I think they didn't really have any clear-cut chances, so maybe a draw would have been a fairer result. But it's just one of those things that could have gone either way, and unfortunately, we were on the wrong side of it. So.
Yeah, 100%. I think a draw probably would have been a fair result. There were a couple of chances in the game that I just wanted to skim over very quickly before we go on Southampton. So firstly, I think in the first half, Toney has a sort of diving header where I think he's focusing a bit too much on getting Michael Keane off him rather than getting onto the ball. But that's definitely a chance we kind of have come to expect that Toney would bury, especially this season. He's finally getting the accolades that he deserves. We'll get onto his England call-up later on in the episode. But yeah, so that chance, I felt he should have put away. Then Rico Henry's chance in the second half that was essentially cleared off the line. But as you say, like those are the only two real chances we had in the game. So I don't think we can be too disheartened walking away with a 1-0 loss. I did say before the game it was a potential banana skin. And like you say, Sean Dyche, we don't have the best record against him. And once you go 1-0 down, you know what's going to happen. This is going to be 11 men behind the ball. So what we do, we're just chalking that down to an off day.
Sorry, you cut out there. What did you say?
I said we're just chalking it down to an off day.
Yeah, I think so. I think obviously we've had a bit of luck as well during our run, so a bit of bad luck was always going to happen. But yeah, that's just a bad day. It's a Premier League. Losses away from home are going to happen. Everton are near the bottom of the table. They're fighting for survival. They've got Sean Dyche in charge. His teams always give 100%, and I think they just wanted it more than us that day as well, to be honest. So yeah, that was just an off day, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get rid of that. Obviously, Everton was quite a while ago. There were a couple of funny stories that I did want to tell from the day. So essentially, Clayton will be laughing when I'm telling this, but we got the cab from Liverpool Lime Street to to Goodison Park to a Spoons near the ground. We'd only obviously been on the train since 8:30, so we were a little bit tipsy. We'd had a few beers. We were in the cab, and the cab drivers turned around and said to me and Clayton, "There's someone behind me who's trying to cut me off." So, being the very responsible adult that I am, I turned around and gave it the big to the guy, to the Scouse guy in the car behind us. Turns out 5 minutes later we arrive at the pub. 5 or 10 minutes later, and just as we're going through the doors, this Scouse guy storms out of a car and he's like, "I'll fucking have all he is!" Literally followed us the whole way down from wherever we were in the middle of Liverpool all the way down to the ground for a scrap, but. I choose my fights wisely and decided to. I was shitting myself. So I decided to go into the pub, go where a lot of people were, so nothing happened. Scousers are crazy. Also happened that day was our good friend Tom wasn't allowed into the game. Might have seen it on Twitter. It got quite a bit of traction. Wasn't allowed into the game despite being searched by the stewards. It's just weird. I think the stewards up north, they just don't like Londoners, especially both times in Liverpool. I remember when we played them last season, there was an issue with bags. And I remember this season, even inside the ground, when they had their goal disallowed, I turned around and gave the big one to the home fans that were right next to me, as you do when you're standing right there. And the steward was telling me I was going to get kicked out of the ground if I did it again. So yeah, I think the best parts of that day were definitely the stories that we could tell on the podcast. But we're just chalking it down to an off day. I also have
Actually,
to go on.
so there are a few people that actually got turned away. I saw on Twitter like 4 or 5 people. They had nothing on them, but the stewards just didn't let them in for some reason. So I don't know what that's all about. You mean you travelled all that way, and why?
I
Like,
know,
I don't
I know,
understand.
strange. I also have to apologise for the tweet that I sent out before the game, saying that we hadn't recorded a podcast after a loss. I'm not going to be doing that again. Definitely not the lucky charm. So this is actually a bit weird recording a pod after a loss, but that's life, I guess. We're never going to continue the season unbeaten. So we're just chalking that down to an off day. We're going to Southampton. Very much a game that we needed to win. In that respect, the performance didn't really matter that much, did it?
No, not at all. I don't even think Southampton were good. We didn't really need to. I just thought it was a pretty decent defensive performance, to be honest. We didn't need to do much. One of our goals came, was it a corner or a throw in when Norgard flicked it on?
Corner.
And then obviously Wisser at the last minute. So yeah, it was pretty simple. I thought Southampton were dreadful though. I think their starts to go down after that. So
Yeah. A couple of red card incidents that I think we should talk about that were doing the rounds on Twitter. What did you make of them both? Firstly, Walker Peters in the first half on Henry, and then Levire on Norgard in the second half.
I think the Levi and Norgard one was worse. I think that was very similar to what Casemiro got sent off for the other day. VAR checked it, and for some reason, I just think the referee should have had another look, even if it wasn't overturned, the decision. But for the first one, I don't think that was a red card. Walker Peters on Henry. I think it was just a yellow. So no, that was that's my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think with both of them, to be fair, I don't think there's real intent in either of them. But having said that, on both challenges, I think Walker Peters' foot goes over the ball, which is these days being flagged as a red card, and Levire's foot goes over the ball and then crashes into Norgard's leg, which is planted on the floor. So thank God he's fine. Obviously got up, but I think you're definitely right. The second one was a lot worse than the first, and very reminiscent of Casemiro's one the other week for United. Officiating just in general that day, yesterday, was pretty piss poor in my opinion. We did say to each other, "Go on."
Sorry, the liner gave a throw in for us, and then the referee just let the Southampton take it for some reason. I don't know. Like it was terrible. That liner on the left of the away end was just. He wasn't at it the whole at the game, so I don't know what happened there, but
yeah,
miscommunication.
We said to each other we wanted that goal in front of the away end at half time. Got it, courtesy of another Johan Wisser goal. Are we now at a point where we accept that Wisser is better coming off the bench than he is when he starts?
I think he's just good when there's space to run in behind. So that's why he's so good coming off the bench when other teams are chasing a goal. He can. That's running in behind is his kind of thing. I think most of his goals come from that. I think when he starts, the problem is that he's not great technically. He doesn't really have an impact on games when he starts. And when he comes on playing against like tired legs, you're always going to look a bit better than when you start.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's a good point that you make. Whenever we're a goal up and he comes on, he always seems to get a couple of chances when they're chasing a goal, especially. I remember the goal yesterday. Toney gets the flick on, doesn't he? And he kind of they're pushing forward for a goal, gets in behind, and no one's beating him for pace. But I can't really figure it out because whenever he comes on, he looks so good. I don't know if I'm putting that down to tired legs from the opposition or if he just has, I don't know, a bit of a good luck charm off the bench. But I think we should talk about Kevin Schade performance as well. We were all quite eager to see him start a game in a Brentford shirt. What did you make of his performance?
I think he was pretty excellent, to be honest. I think we saw what we can do. I still think he's quite raw and obviously learning how to play in the Premier League and how to play with his new teammates, and that will take time. So I think we should definitely be patient with him. But no, I really, really liked what I saw. We all know how fast he is, but he also has good technical ability as well. So I thought he might just be one of those players, just pure pace, not much technical ability, but he could beat his man. He looked confident beating his man, which is important. A lot of wingers kind of shy away from that, but he looked like he was confident, and it seems like he's got a good relationship with a lot of the players off the pitch as well. So I think that also helps, especially when you're new and settling in. So no, I'm really excited about him. I keep forgetting he's only on loan. I know there's like a
Obligation to buy, isn't there?
I think it's actually an option.
Yeah. Oh, okay, right.
Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah. No, I think he's definitely one for the future. I'm really excited about him.
Yeah, it's a good point you make about him actually being direct and running at people, because I think of the wingers that we've had in previous years, people like Canos. I know Canos did used to run at wingers when he was in the Championship and used to get quite a lot of joy, to be fair to him. But in the Premier League last season, every time he'd go for a take on, more often than not, I don't think he'd beat his man. And Buemo did it in the Championship very well, but once people kind of figured out how left-footed he is, the kind of, you kind of know what he's going to do every time. He's going to cut inside and try and get back on his left. And it's kind of a blessing in disguise that now he plays up top with Toney, I think, when we play in a 5, because I think that he's better in that position, running off Toney's flick-ons. But yeah, 100%. Schade, when he's running at someone, I don't think anyone's going to beat him for pace, apart from Rick Henry maybe if he was in the opposite team. But
good left side we have.
Yeah, 100%. Got a shout out to the Southampton fans taking lumps out of each other in the home end. That was hilarious. Always funny when that happens. They're definitely going down, aren't they?
Oh no, 100%. I don't see how they stay up now. The performance yesterday was so poor. I know they've had a couple good results recently, but you just look at the other teams in that relegation kind of battle, and I just think the other teams have a bit more quality than they do and a bit more experience. So I think they'll be in the Championship next season.
Is our European charge back on? We had a question on the GPG of someone telling us we should stop chanting about Europe. What do you reckon?
I don't think we should stop chanting about Europe, but I don't think it's going to happen. But that's just me being a natural pessimist, to be honest. I think you look at Brighton and you look at Chelsea, who look not back to their best, but they won a couple games and that'll do them the world of good. Liverpool, I know they're a bit, iffy, but I think they'll finish in the top 6. I think interestingly, Newcastle kind of lost form recently, and we're only 3 points off Newcastle. Or if we win our game in hand, we're only 3 points off Newcastle. So that could be an interesting one. Top European football, as much as I want it, I just don't see it this season, unfortunately.
Okay, we'll get on to a bit more European chat later on, because I think someone asked us on the GPG about where we realistically or a satisfactory finish for this season in the form we're in. We should talk about Ivan Toney getting a call up for England. We've sang his praises on pretty much every episode of the podcast to date. Fully deserved call up, isn't it?
Oh yeah, 100%. He's been so good this season. I think in this calendar year, he's just been phenomenal. He's scored so many goals. I think he's got he's third best for goal contributions in the league, behind, I think it was Salah and Kane, or maybe Son as well. Maybe he's up there. But doing that at Brentford, where obviously we don't create as many chances as they do, he's just an all-round top footballer, and he completely deserves this call-up. I have no idea how he didn't go to the World Cup.
Well, I think it was weird, because I think a lot of the reaction online is how are the FA sanctioning him being picked for England when, I don't know how it works, but everyone's kind of saying how is he being called up with all the betting stuff going on. And I think I saw Southgate say in a clip earlier today, he said, if he's still playing for his club, then I don't see a reason why we shouldn't pick him. And I respect that, but I hope Southgate gives him more minutes instead of calling him up and not putting him on at all. The thing is, it's a difficult situation, because any sort of England striker in the England setup is going to be second fiddle to Kane, no matter how good they are, because Kane is one of the best centre forwards in the world. I don't really see a way. Well, I don't know. We've got 2 games coming up against Italy. I can't remember who the other team is against in the qualifiers.
Ukraine.
Italy and Ukraine. So I don't know how he's going to feature. I can see him maybe coming on if we're losing against Italy. What do you think?
No, I think the Ukraine game, the last 20 minutes, I think that's what we should be winning that game. So yeah, last 20 minutes against Ukraine, I think that will be his time, unless we're winning, I don't know, 3-0 against Italy away, which I doubt. But yeah.
Yeah. Should we talk about Rico Henry not being called up? Well, I think. What do you think about Rico Henry and the England situation? You had some pretty strong words yesterday.
Well, I love Rico Henry. I think he's a top player. He's not at the level of Shaw and Chilwell. I know some people disagree with me on that. I think Luke Shaw is the best left back in the league, minus that Liverpool game. He's been incredible this season. Chilwell is obviously someone Southgate trusts, and Southgate likes players that he knows, players that he's picked. I think when you're playing for a team like Brentford, you have to be outstanding to get in the England squad, which is what obviously Toney has been. Whereas Rico Henry hasn't been Rico Henry's been good, but not outstanding. Having said that, Tyreek Mitchell got a call up. I think it was last season, and Rico Henry's a much better fullback than Tyreek Mitchell. But I think we had a couple injuries in that area last season, which is why he got the call up. But yeah, I do love Rico Henry. I just think he's got areas in his game he needs to improve. There's this whole thing in modern football about technical left backs, and I don't think he's more of like a fullback from the past rather than a present fullback. You think of, the best fullbacks in the league, Luke Shaw. I know João Cancelo's gone, but he's like a Trent Alexander-Arnold as well. This is like a modern day fullback. I just don't think Rico Henry fits that bill.
Yeah, I don't agree with you that he hasn't been outstanding, but I do agree with you that he doesn't fit the bill of a modern fullback, because I think, I can't remember if I said it on the podcast or if it's Clayton, I think what I said is the thing that holds Rico Henry back is his attacking output, because he's so good in 1v1 defensive situations. I think even Thomas Frank lauded him recently about being one of the best left backs in the league, if not the best, in 1v1 situations. I'd agree with that. I think he's outstanding defensively. I don't think you can pick a fault in his game defensively, but going forward, he doesn't have the amount of assists that a Luke Shaw would get in a season, or the amount of goals that a Ben Chilwell would get in a season. So I think that is the only thing holding him back. But it's like you say, Tyreek Mitchell gets a call up. So, fucking hell, Gareth.
I think the thing is, another thing is that we've played 3-5-2 a lot this season, and playing 3-5-2, he's like the main, obviously, outlet on the left. Whereas when we play 4-3-3, it allows the left winger to cut in, and Henry has a bit more space to run. Like with Ben Rama as well. When we had Ben Rama, that left side of Ben Rama and Henry was just like incredible. So his game's kind of had to change in the last couple of seasons because of the way we play. I think that's kind of hindered him a little bit as well.
Yeah. We'll go on to the other side of the defence. Aaron Hickey. I saw someone say on Twitter, I remember that there was a tweet format doing the rounds about what's a Brentford opinion that would have everyone screaming at you, something like that. Someone talked about Aaron Hickey not being as good as people think he is. What do you think of him? What do you think of his performance yesterday and over the season as well?
I think there's definitely a very, very, very good player there. I mean, you can't knock our recruitment. We wouldn't have signed him if we didn't think that there was a player there. I think he's still so young, 19 years old. He's only played one full season in professional football. I know he started at Hearts when he was 16, but last season was like the first time I think that he actually played around 30 or so games. So he's still quite raw. I still can't work out if he's right or left-footed. I'm pretty sure he is left, but yeah, no, he the thing is that he doesn't have the pace of Henry, but he's very, very comfortable on the ball, which kind of suits us when playing out the back and stuff. I think that he will be a player that goes on to become a 50-60 million pound right back or left back, wherever he ends up playing. It's just going to take a bit of time. He's playing in the Premier League and he's 19. You can't expect big things from him. I think his crossing needs to improve, but I think I can't really recall a game this season where a winger's completely destroyed him. Maybe Newcastle away, but I wasn't there, so. But yeah, no, I'm excited about him. I do think Roslev should be starting at the moment, though, when he's fit.
Okay, fair enough. I think Roslev's definitely better in 1v1 defensive situations, like Henry. but I think one criticism that we had of Ruslev is that he's not as comfortable on the ball, or he doesn't look for the ball as much as Aaron Hickey would do. I remember at Forest, he was kind of, and that's why he gets some of the criticism that he does sometimes. To be fair, not since a few weeks ago when he put in that amazing shift at City and then did the same at Arsenal, but he doesn't call for the ball as much as an Aaron Hickey would do if we were under the cosh or if we were away at a Big Six club. But he shut those claims up with those performances at City and Arsenal. So
I think we can see a lot more from Roslev going forward as well. I think he's actually quite underrated going forward. I remember there was a game a long time ago against Blackburn. I think it was actually my last game at Griffin Park, I think, and he won a penalty. But I think he was like a step over and he went past the defender. I think he's shown glimpses of what he can do. It's just, he's still very young and he's raw and he's still learning. And obviously Thomas Frank really rates him. So no, he's also definitely a player for the future, and one I think that will become a key player for us.
Yeah, we've got two right backs that are ones for the future, and I'm excited about both of them. Right, so at this point we'd normally do our away day section, but seeing as it was the anniversary of that result against Leyton Orient back in 2014, I thought we'd talk a little bit about that day. Cracking day, wasn't it? Great day.
Great game. I think it's one of the best away ends I've ever been in. Like the limbs. No, you can't beat it. I think from that moment you just knew we were going to get promotion, and obviously the whole Russell Slade comments as well. Then we nicked his best player at the end of the season, Moses Adebayo. All kind of worked out well for us, didn't it?
Yeah, it was such a good day. I can't remember how old I was back then, but probably about 15-ish, I guess. We took that whole
13, I think.
Yeah, we took that whole away end, didn't we? We had the whole strip. And I remember when Tarky gets sent off. The thing is, I can't even remember if we were like under pressure. I don't know if I'm just misremembering here because it was so long ago. But I just remember watching the game and thinking, "There's no way we're going to lose this." And we just singing, "We only need 10 men the whole game." And like you say, it was kind of that point in the season where, because Leyton Orient they are rivals at that point, weren't they, in League One?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were. Yeah. So it was a 6-pointer, and I just remember thinking, we get a win today. We'll go on and win it, and we did in the end. No cries of Marcello scored a fucking great goal at Brisbane Road last night. I was disappointed that didn't get going. But yeah,
it was going on the train to Liverpool on Saturday. That's
that's all you remember. I
remember.
Yeah, no, it was a very busy train on the way up and down. We got a couple of questions from the GPG that we'll quickly talk about. N5022 N122, still a mouthful, mate. He says, given our circumstances, where is a satisfactory finish this season? What are you thinking?
I think, top 10 obviously would be satisfactory. I think when you look at our resources and, where we are in the league right now, top 10 would be good. I would have probably taken even 16th at the beginning of the season. So anything really is just a bonus. But obviously we're kind of fighting for Europe. Are we fighting for Europe? I don't know. I think, top 10 for me would be satisfactory.
I think it kind of depends on what you define as satisfactory, because like you say, going into the season, satisfaction is staying up. But as you do so well, the expectations get bigger and bigger and bigger. Like, I can imagine now if we went on and didn't win a game from now until the end of the season and stayed up by the skin of our teeth, we'd all be thinking, what the hell went wrong? And we'd all be pretty pissed off about it. But, it's like a bigger picture, and it's a thing that annoys older Brentford fans when we get annoyed that we're losing. It's because they're always like, we've been in for ages. So it's a sensitive topic, but in terms of satisfaction now, I just think it evolves with every game. It's like we talk about it on every podcast. Essentially, it's like with every win, it's like, okay, well, are we actually going to do this? Are we actually going to do this? No, we're not. No, we're not. No, we're not. But I think top 10. I think if we define satisfaction now as where we are now and how we're going, top 10, I'll be happy. We can dream about Europe, we can sing about Europe, and if that happens, I'm sure there'll be many more boozy away days next year, hopefully somewhere in Eastern Europe, in Prague or something like that. But yeah, got another question from Stevie, who says, is giving abuse to home fans the main element of a top away day? And I saw this question, I thought, do you know what, Niall is probably not the right man to answer this question, because Niall's probably the
That's
biggest
what all
white
the
that
way
Met
days are
within
all
our
about.
group. What do you reckon?
But I think it's just part of the fun, isn't it? You know, I think I saw that comment on GPG. I thought no, the Southampton fans, to be fair, were giving it large, and you know, when that happens, you give it back, and it's just part of the fun. A little bit immature, but you know, these things happen. You know, you wouldn't do that when you're outside. I don't know, outside of football. It is quite a weird concept, isn't it? Just I don't
Yeah.
know, but yeah, no, it's all part of the fun. It's all part of the fun.
I 100% agree. It's definitely, it's like if when you go to a football match, you kind of have to get involved with that kind of thing, in my opinion. It's just, it makes it more fun. It makes it better. It makes it better when you score. Obviously, it makes it so much worse when you concede. But it was like that goal that we got in the last minute. It's kind of vindication when the home fans have been giving it to you the whole game. So it's not the main element of a top away day, I wouldn't say, but it's definitely one of the ingredients. And
And if
like I
you can
said,
wind up people in the process, then you know it's a
exactly,
win.
exactly. Niall literally once, and when we were Arsenal away, Niall reduced a man to tears last season. He wanted to absolutely kill Niall. So I hope that guy maybe went to some anger management classes, because you had him on the ropes. He was so angry with you. Uh,
Great
we'll
times.
go on. We'll go on to Leicester then before we wrap things up. How are you feeling before Saturday?
Pessimistic.
Really?
um, I, well, I just think Leicester. I don't think we've got a great record against them. We played them a few times. We played them in the FA Cup twice, I think, when we were in the Championship, and obviously played them in the last couple of seasons as well. James Maddison scares me. I think he's a quality player. But they also have other players as well. You know, Patson Daka, Iheanacho, Harvey Barnes. These are players that can win you games by themselves. I know their record since the World Cup's been pretty terrible, but honestly, I just can't see us winning tomorrow or Saturday rather. I think it'll be a score draw.
Okay, fair enough. I I'm quite confident. I think Jordan said on the last podcast he's fairly confident whenever we play at home, really, and I kind of echo that. I think, like you said, Leicester are out of form and they're near the relegation zone. They're fighting for their lives. Rodgers is under pressure, but you know they've got players like Maddison who always seems to score against us. I've always been a big fan of Harvey Barnes. Kind of
Yeah,
always want to see him do well, because I really want to see him get into the England team somehow. I know he is
yeah.
capped. He is capped, but I just love how direct he is. I don't know if he's just doesn't have that end product, or if it's because he's at a team like Leicester. But I'd love to see him get a big move somewhere, because I think he's a really good player. But like you said, that those two specifically are players that can win you games, especially Maddison. So I don't think it will be a formality, but I'm definitely more confident than I was going to Southampton or going to Everton as well. So what are you saying? Score draw? That's what you're thinking?
Yeah, score draw, maybe 1-1, 2-2. Yeah, but that's just me. I never think we're going to win. So everything when we do, it's more of a bonus.
All right, I'm going. I'm going to go. I'm going to go 3-1 Bees. I think they will. I think we will get a goal. Probably a Madison free kick or something, or a Madison worldie that he always scores against us. Right. So before we round off, Niall, I'll give you the mic, as you have to tell your funniest Brentford story. If for those who don't know, we are going to get a funniest Brentford story from every guest that appears on the podcast. We've already had a few diamonds in there, and then at the end of the season, get a little poll going on Twitter. Go back through the episodes, check which ones, and yeah, we'll find out which is the best. So, Niall, over to you, mate.
Yeah, so I had to have a long, hard think about this one. The one that just springs to my mind is in the playoff final against Swansea. Our friend Will, I think he must have got maybe a whack or an elbow to the head in one of the goals during the limbs. And he was quite severely concussed, but obviously none of us really gave a shit, because we were playing in a playoff final against Swansea. So yeah, we just kind of shrugged him off. Anyway, we get back to Brentford. We're all celebrating and everything. And obviously the players were coming back on the coach. And after all that had kind of died down, out of nowhere, he just threw up. all over Lionel Road, somehow missing everyone. I have no idea how, because there were hundreds of people there. And yeah, he was in a state that day. But yeah, no, that throwing up on Lionel Road, that really capped the day off for me.
I don't know if that's funny or if that's medical negligence or I don't know.
I mean, we do sound like really terrible mates, but you know, these things happen. It's a
I
player
think,
final.
yeah, no, I think you're allowed to not care about my friend throwing up in a playoff final, especially when we go up. I want to tell a funniest Brentford story. My funniest Brentford story of Niall when we were at Arsenal away in the Carabao Cup, fourth round, I think it was maybe fourth against Arsenal away. Alan Judge scored a free kick. I didn't know Niall at the time. I went into the toilet at half time and I seen this guy stumbling about the urinals, and I felt like saying, "You're right, mate," but I didn't, and because I didn't, he's absolutely stacked it face first into a urinal. A few older Brentford fans like picked him up, and I saw his face absolutely battered. I think that wasn't your finest moment, to be fair. No, I thought I'd share that on the podcast, but it's quite funny that we didn't even know each other at that time, and obviously. The first time I met Niall, I remember saying, I recognise you from somewhere because one of our mates, we've got mutual friends. So I remember seeing Niall and he told me he was a Brentford fan and I was like, oh my God, are you the Brentford fan that I saw stack in the Arsenal urinals straight head first into a toilet? So yeah, that was you, wasn't it, Niall?
Not my proudest moment, but yeah, we move on.
I think that's a good way to end the podcast.
By the way,
What
and bought me a bottle of water. Big shout.
I think that's a good way to end the podcast, to be fair. We got a story about Will throwing up and a story about you smashing your face into a urinal. I think that's quite a nice ending. So, the Ealing Road podcast will be back next week following the game against Leicester. I think we're aiming to record on Monday night, but I'm waiting for people to get back in touch with me on their availability. So, yeah, we'll see you next week. And also, if you haven't bought Adam's Farewell Griffin Park book yet, the link is still in our bio, so you can email the email address that's in our bio on our Twitter page and get one of his books. They're fantastic. We had a look at them through the last episode. So yeah, we'll see you next week. And check our bio for the book. Cheers, guys. Cheers, Noel.
Cheers.